When you think about it, what really separates a simple glass of wine from a shot of whiskey? I mean, beyond just the taste. It's actually a huge technological leap, a moment in history that created this great divide in the world of alcohol. So let's dive into what that divide really is and how in the world it happened. So on one side of this divide, you've got your wine and your beer. For thousands of years, these are pretty much it. They're made by fermentation, where yeast eats sugar and makes alcohol. But here's the thing. There's a natural ceiling. The yeast basically taps out at a certain alcohol level. And on the other side, you have spirits. They don't just push that limit, they completely shatter it, reaching a potency that was just unimaginable before. So what was it? What was this incredible, ancient innovation that allowed us to jump across that gap? To create drinks that were so much stronger, so concentrated, and just fundamentally different from anything that came before? Well, the answer, as you might have guessed, is the art of distillation. It's a process that sounds super modern, right? Like something out of a chemistry lab. But its roots go way, way back. And it all comes down to unlocking the secret of vapor. Now, here's the wild part. Distillation doesn't actually create any new alcohol. All it does is take a liquid that's already fermented, like a simple beer or wine, and through this really clever process of heating and cooling, it separates and concentrates the alcohol that's already in there. Okay, so the process itself is both incredibly simple and kind of brilliant. It all starts with heat. See, alcohol boils at a lower temperature than water, so if you gently heat a fermented mash, the first thing to turn into vapor is the alcohol. The real art is capturing that vapor, channeling it somewhere else, cooling it back down into a liquid, and then collecting what comes out. And boom, you've got a potent, concentrated spirit. And let me tell you, this was not a happy accident. This required some serious skill. The first distillers had to be amazing experimenters. They had to figure out what materials to build their stills out of, how to control a fire with precision. They had to watch every single drop to figure out how to perfect the process. For its time, this was absolutely cutting-edge technology. But creating this super potent liquid wasn't just for kicks. The arrival of distilled spirits was nothing short of a revolution in a bottle. And it was about so much more than just having a stronger drink. Which brings us to the big question, right? People have been drinking beer and wine for millennia. Why did anyone even feel the need to invent something so much more powerful? What was the point? Well, it turns out that extra potency was a total game changer. For one, you got a much bigger effect from a tiny amount. This made it way easier to transport and store than, say, giant heavy barrels of beer. It also became hugely important for medicine, and it took on this new role in rituals and social life. Honestly, it just carried a lot more prestige. And this is a really crucial point. In its early days, distillation was deeply tied to medicine and alchemy. A strong, pure alcohol was the perfect solvent. It could pull the medicinal essence out of herbs and plants in a way that water just couldn't. This let them create powerful tinctures and tonics that were totally impossible before. For these early innovators, distillation was like a key for unlocking the secrets of the natural world. And while this tech would eventually spread across the entire globe, some of the very first and most sophisticated techniques were pioneered in Asia, and they created this amazing, ancient legacy that we can literally still taste today. So take China, for instance. Distillers there perfected the creation of baijiu. It's this powerful, incredibly complex spirit, usually made from sorghum. The techniques to make it have been refined over dynasties, and it's just woven into the very fabric of the culture. Then you hop over to Japan, and you see the evolution of shochu. What's so cool about shochu is its sheer versatility. Distillers use all sorts of things as a base: barley, sweet potatoes, rice, and each one creates a totally unique flavor. And then across South and Southeast Asia, you find arak. This one is a perfect example of how the technology adapted to whatever was on hand locally. Depending on where you are, it might be made from sugarcane or even the fermented sap of coconut flowers. It's a true spirit of place. And all of this knowledge from all these different traditions, it would travel, it would evolve, and it would form the very foundation for the spirits we all know today. Like whiskey. Even though they taste worlds apart, they all share a common ancestor, that ancient mastery of turning liquid into vapor and back again. There's this quote that just nails it perfectly. The people who pioneered this stuff, They weren't just brewers, they were practical scientists. They were pushing the absolute boundaries of what was known about the physical world. They were, for all intents and purposes, working at the very edge of early chemistry. And that right there is the biggest takeaway. The invention of distillation wasn't just about a new recipe. It was a whole new way of thinking. It was a profound new understanding of how to transform matter. The idea that you could take something, break it down to its very essence, and then rebuild it as something completely new and way more powerful. It really makes you think, doesn't it? The incredible science and centuries of trial and error that are hiding inside something as common as a bottle on a shelf. It's so easy to just take it for granted. So what complex, world-changing technology are we overlooking in our own lives right now?